Hello Sagittarius, welcome to Dove and Serpent Tarot. If Sagittarius is your sun, moon, or rising sign, this is your reading. Please hit the like button, leave a comment, consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. And if there is anything you would like me to pray over or meditate upon or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now this is going to be a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I might provide. And remember, Sagittarius, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. All right, we have an Eight of Wands. This is a lot of kind of anxious energy going on right now. I feel that there's a lot of this fire that we're trying to contain. This is a very good card for Sagittarius. This is Mercury in Sagittarius, right? So this is a very intelligent use of our very quick energy, right? Let's see what's going on here, because we've got the Princess of Discs. We'll put this all into some context with our Dove and Serpent spread. This is a lot of good energy here. Okay, interesting. Okay, I feel there's kind of an impulsiveness right now. I feel like there's something that we want to act on right now. We don't want to wait. But first, let's do our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is the one extra card that we choose, and we're using the Smith-Waite Tarot. And we're just going to set it down here. We'll put the horse on top. Now we're not going to look at that card until the very end. Hopefully at the end of the reading it will tie everything together, give us the confirmation that we need at the end of the reading. Okay, now let's look at these cards. We've got a lot going on, so get ready. Hopefully the microphone is working better today. We had some tech gremlins in our equipment yesterday. That's why you're getting another Sagittarius reading today. We just put one out yesterday, but I feel like there was another message that was trying to come through, and I think this is a good one. Anyway, major arcana. We have major, 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 major. We have the fire here. All right, we have this fire. We've got some water, we've got some air, and we've got some really nice earth energy, right? Now, we have more fire. This major arcana is fire. This is actually the Sagittarius card. This is the representative of your true self, right? This is that part of your energy that you really need right now. It's in a weird position in the spread, though. We'll get to that. So we have a little bit more fire here. And then as far as the air energy goes that we have here, we also have air in these major arcana, right? The Fool is air energy. The Justice or Adjustment is Libra. That's air energy. That's very interesting. We have a lot of earth going this way horizontally. We're trying to make this progress. We're trying to take the raw materials of our environment. We're trying to take, it's like we have, let's look at the Princess of Pentacles first. It's like we have this big basket full of stuff, and we're just like, it's got to be part of something. It reminds me of that episode of The Office. I don't know if you are familiar with the American sitcom The Office with Steve Carell. It started as a British TV show. But the American version is the one that I've seen a lot of. Anyway, Dwight gets all of these metal pieces, just kind of random metal parts. I think it was like for the Christmas gift or something. It was just a bunch of these parts. He didn't know what they were, but he knew that they must go together some way to make something. And the whole episode, I think it was the Christmas party, the whole episode he's trying to figure out what these parts that keep coming in, what they're for. At the end, he realizes it's just some machine to crack walnuts, right? The Christmas theme there with the nutcracker. But I feel there's kind of the same vibe going on. I feel like you have a lot of this raw material. You have a lot of stuff, a lot of resources, a lot of abundance. And we're trying to figure out how they all fit together, how everything goes into this, this is the machine that you're building, right? This is your nutcracker. But I feel like we're having trouble figuring out what stuff we need and what's just like extra parts, what doesn't even belong in this puzzle box. You know, you ever do puzzles like with your kids or something, and it seems like there's a lot of extra pieces. There's some that are just a really weird shape. They don't seem to fit in with the color palette, or, you know, it seems like there's like maybe a button in there, or there's some like, I don't know, just some random stuff. Maybe some peanuts, you know, something. So I feel like there's a lot of raw material in your life. Yeah. There's a lot going on with you. Now, I'm not just talking about physical stuff, you know. It could be physical stuff, but it's more of the energy, relationships. It's more of just your environment generally. There's a lot of stuff going on around you. And I think we're having trouble figuring out what we need in order to build our nutcracker, right? To have our success, to accomplish our goals, to make progress, to move forward. This is the card of tomorrow. This is what we want tomorrow. We want a harmonious, organized, this is kind of a clutter-free life. I feel like with these two, especially with that 8 of Wands in there, let me get a better handle on them. With that 8 of Wands, I'm feeling that there's this anxiety over the environment. Maybe your home is cluttered, right? I feel like our mind, our heart, our soul is kind of cluttered. And it's that kind of clutter where there just seems to be stuff everywhere. It's honestly the way I'm kind of feeling about my tarot desk here. I feel like there's too much. I feel like I need to organize things. I need to figure out what I really need. And just, you know, I'm kind of a minimalist in that way. It may not seem like it. But when there's too much stuff around, yeah, every individual thing has its use, has its value, has its importance. You know, I like our little alien friend. I like our frog. I like my dove and serpent oils here. You know, I like my orbs and my crystals, my coins. I like this stuff. But as far as its usefulness, as far as how it all fits together in the grand scheme of things, I'm not really sure. It's the same as if your home is very cluttered, or your office, right, or your workspace, or your workshop. Everything has its value, its importance, and its usefulness, right? You have a lot of paints, a lot of paintbrushes, a lot of canvases everywhere. But are all of those things necessary right now in this functional moment in which we exist? In the infinite now, do I need all of these things? No, because I haven't used any of these, I think, in a while. So it's like a kitchen where you have all of your appliances, all of your utensils out on the countertops, right? They're all useful, right? Some point we're going to use each of these things, some sooner than others. But right now, with what I'm working on, with what I'm trying to build and what I'm trying to do with my life, do I need all of these things? So before we take another step, because this is some really anxious fire energy here, the Mercury energy in this card is asking us to really kind of channel that divine, the divine light and that power of concentration to really look at this environment that we're in. Now, this could literally be your workshop. It could be your desk, your office at work. It could be your home, maybe your bedroom, maybe your meditation room, your temple. It could be your car. It could be just our mind. It could be our hearts, right? I'm feeling a little cluttered right now. So there's a growing anxiety because of this. I think that's kind of a thing that, maybe psychologists have researched, that, there is an anxiety that is brought about by having a cluttered environment. It kind of, you see these memes or something that say, if you can clear off your desk, if you can organize your desk at work, it's going to make you more efficient. It's going to calm you down, and the flow is going to be better. Well, I do believe that. I think it's things like that are just a way to try to get more productivity out of people who are at work, but that's a different subject. I feel like there is an anxiety in the environment right now because of your relationship with the environment. I think maybe it feels overwhelming right now. And with that, we're really on this path of kind of clearing things out. We start with the Hermit. Let's talk about the Hermit, I think, in the recent past. This was yesterday's energy. This, I think, was you maybe pulling back from your kind of normal activities to focus on something else, right? Maybe you took a leave of absence from work. Maybe you just outright quit your job. Maybe you lost your job, whatever it is. I feel like we've withdrawn from something to focus on this feeling that we have, to focus on what's going on in the metaphoric home, right? Either within our souls or literally in your home. To focus on this kind of decluttering, right? And that's a lot of what meditation is, or perhaps a byproduct of meditation, right? It's just getting rid of the clutter. By taking a little bit of a time out for ourselves. I think it's a way for us to let some of that anxiety go. Through meditation, I think we generally find that our mind, our hearts, our souls are a little bit less cluttered. And it may then prompt us to be very sensitive to the clutter externally. So we may strive to declutter our environment to match the kind of this tranquility perhaps that we feel inside. And I think I use tranquility specifically because of this Six of Cups that's within you right now. I feel like we're trying to make the external world match what we're feeling inside. And I think that you have recently began focusing on how you feel inside. You've been beginning to shift your focus perhaps from the outside world, whatever was back this way, focusing on this inner light, focusing on what's going on within you, doing the internal work, the interior work, where maybe you find that there is this growing anxiety. The Eight of Wands here is a card that feels like going in every direction, but ends up just kind of spinning in a circle. It's what I say is kind of tap dancing in place, right? Where we need to do something, but we don't know what to do. And I'm moving my feet, I'm tapping here. It's a need for action, but it's not progress. It's movement, it's activity, but it's not progress. It's not this. The Nine of Pentacles. We think we're making progress, but really we're taking a couple steps in this direction and we're coming back. We're going in this direction and we're coming back. We're going in a circle. It's a lot of movement, but there's no real action, no real progress. Okay, and this is I think what anxiety is. Right? It's a lot of activity, mental, emotional, and physical. Any combination of those, but it's no actual progress. If we could let it out, if we could find a direction for it, then all of this pent-up energy would really be getting things done now, wouldn't we? But I feel like we're just kind of spinning our wheels on it. And I can attest to that personally. I don't have very strong Sagittarius placements in my chart, but I can see just within myself that if my environment feels too cluttered, then it's almost as if I start to feel too cluttered inside and I can't really move. I don't know which way to go, right? A million directions I want to go all at once. I end up just kind of spinning my wheels in place, tap dancing in a circle. So I wonder if there's some of that going on with you right now. Because I do feel like through this hermit energy, which again, I feel like the hermit is you recently making some sort of a shift away from an external focus. Okay, I don't know exactly what this is, if there's a retirement, if there is a leave of absence from the kind of, your general external life. There's something, there's been a shift of your focus to the more interior work. Okay. I feel like what we're experiencing is a Six of Cups internally, or this is maybe what is trying to grow in us. The Six of Cups is very tranquil energy, very peaceful. Right? This is how we want to feel. I think the Eight of Wands is kind of how we are feeling right now. But this is what we're aspiring to. We're aspiring to this calmness, this peacefulness. Right? And I think in order to get this, I think this is what you really want. In order to get this, we have to have this. Internal, external. Physical world and the world of soul. Internal world. These two have to line up, right? We have to match our internal and external environment. And maybe they are matched up right now, but they're certainly not the six that we want. So this is, I think, the goal. This is where we're headed. This is kind of the work that we need to do. But if we look at the Nine of Pentacles over here, and yeah, we'll talk about the Fool up there in just a minute. If we look at this Nine of Pentacles, this is how we're perceiving ourselves right now. We think we are making progress. But I'm telling you that what you're doing is tap dancing in place. It may look like progress to you. It may look like we're getting a lot of things done. I don't believe that we are. I think we have to, in some way, get a higher perspective on what's going on here. I almost feel like we need to turn off this anxious energy. I almost feel like you don't need to take any more steps. Just stop tap dancing. Just sit, rest. Don't make another move. Don't make another move until we can maybe invoke this Fool energy. Maybe this Fool is really what we need. The Fool is not anxious about anything. The Fool doesn't have a self to really feel anxious, right? Doesn't have a self-awareness, a self-consciousness. Does not remember itself. Is just pure expression, pure freedom, pure existence. Doesn't care what the environment is. We'll find interest in all of these little things. Everything is wow. Everything is, whoa, this is so cool. Has no personal feelings or awareness, right? It's just expansion and existence. This is a card of transcendence. It's transcending our selves. It's a very Buddhist kind of idea, the realization that there is no permanent self, that this idea of a personality is an illusion, that we are all just kind of pure existence. It doesn't have to be anything so mystical or abstract as that. In a very practical sense, it is a losing of attachment, right? It's because we're attached to everything. We're attached to our sense of self in our environment, that we allow whatever environment we're in. If we're in a chaotic environment, we're going to feel chaotic because we're attached to it. We identify with it. This chaotic environment is me. Well, the Fool doesn't have a it's me impulse. Yeah. So in some ways, this is the wise man, the wise person. It's not gender specific. This is the wise one, the sage. And it may seem silly because this is someone who is in the middle of a chaotic environment, they're just skipping along picking flowers, and people think, you must be an idiot. The fool, though, could be the idiot, could be the sage. The point is, you don't know. There's a very, very thin line between genius and insanity, between a fool and a sage. Sometimes can't tell the difference, right? The sage is the person that knows they're a fool, perhaps. The fool is the person who thinks they're a sage. Could be. I don't know. I think Socrates said something like that. That the wise person is the one that knows their own ignorance or something like that. But anyway, this is that kind of freedom from the influence of the environment that we're looking for. And this is really what we need or what we want or how we get it. But in a very practical way, I don't know if we can do that, right? We can try. We can try to be less affected by our environment, but we still have this desire to harmonize our environment. We want a peaceful and calm external world to match a calm and peaceful internal world. Well, which comes first? If we're in a chaotic environment, do we first have to fix the environment and then we can resonate in this tranquil way? I don't know. Or do we fix how we feel first? And is anything really broken? Does anything really need fixing? There are a lot of questions here. And I don't want this to become too philosophical. But the Fool is definitely a double-edged sword here. And we're going to talk about that now with this other air energy. This is in the position of the environment. This is double air. So it's a kind of a double-edged sword. And it's talking about the timing. Now is not the time for us to make a lot of drastic changes and like, I'm going to get rid of all my stuff. I'm going to just, like Seinfeld, like Kramer, I'm just going to build levels. Get rid of all my furniture. It's not the time for drastic decisions because that might be a little foolish. We might be crossing the border into foolishness there rather than sagely wisdom. So the timing isn't right for drastic actions. The timing, I think, is it's time for us to transcend the situation a little bit, to figure out why we feel the way we feel, and if fixing the environment is really going to fix it, right? If anything actually needs fixing, or if it's about our need for, maybe some kind of a creative release, maybe to find a deeper meaning or purpose or a use for all this energy. Rather than this feeling like our environment is what's holding us back, because there's this disconnect, because we don't have this harmony or this overlap, this resonance between our internal and external. Because I don't have a peaceful environment and I don't have a peaceful, heart or whatever. That is going to be a bar to progress, a blockage in progress. Because I think up till now, maybe we thought we were making progress. But let's stop all of this wild activity. Let's stop all of this anxious energy, this tap dancing. And transcend things a little bit, right? Maybe get a little bit of a fool perspective or a sage perspective, perhaps. And see if we are indeed making progress, or if we need this art or temperance card. Now, this is you. This is the best Sagittarius qualities. It's the card of what we don't want, however. Why don't we want that? Well, this card is talking about a difficult situation. This card is all about trials, tests, a probationary period, the universe testing your mettle, right? Putting you in the fire and see how you handle it. So perhaps this is a situation where we're learning how to have a tranquil interior world, how to be balanced, how to, to me, it's kind of like a Zen-like idea, right? Totally calm, totally just zened out, even in the midst of the chaos, right? Even in the midst of, I don't know, the fool kind of energy, or the confusion, or the discord, or the disharmony in the environment. We're in the middle of this fire, and it's peaceful, it's Zen-like, in the middle of this chaos, in the difficult, disorganized, at least by our standards, or by our perception, chaotic and disorganized. So I feel like it really is. It's a challenge for us to realign our relationship with the external world, with the environment, right? And I kind of feel like that's what we started out doing, right? With this hermit energy, we decided to focus on something else. We pulled back from the external world, maybe because it was too chaotic out there. So we pulled inward. And now we're looking to deal with this anxiety, to establish this harmony between ourselves and our environment. Maybe the outside world is just too damn chaotic, and I want to be home where I have a little bit more control over things. And I can have my home, at least to a certain extent, be as harmonious, as organized, as peaceful as I need it to be. I think that's just about the gist of it there. But then when we get to this art or temperance card, there's a purpose for all of this. There's a reason why we're going through this right now. And it's not to say, well, I guess I just, don't belong in the world. The world is not for me. I'm not part of that world. Well, we're a part of it, whether we like it or not, And I think that's still, again, some of this fool energy. The fool isn't part of the world. The fool is the world. The fool is the world. Because the world, or the universe, is the last card of the tarot. This is the first card, the Alpha and the Omega. They're the same, the beginning and the end. The fool and the world. The fool is the world, right? And maybe it's the sage that just recognizes that fact. And so maybe it's not an idea of needing to change the environment so that I feel more peaceful, but me feeling that kind of peacefulness, that tranquility, that connection, that love, everything that the Six of Cups represents, with the world as it is. And if I can cleanse my perception, right? If I can cleanse the doors of perception, right? Then maybe I would see that everything is harmonious and peaceful and tranquil, just as it is. Yeah. Anyway, we do have this justice or adjustment card at the very end, and this is the need for balance, right? So every idea that we put forth, everything that I say, we have to say the opposite of it. Right? The world isn't perfect how it is. There are problems everywhere you look. There is chaos. There is pain. There is suffering. No amount of foolishness is going to change that fact. Okay? We have to understand both sides of the situation. If your environment isn't conducive to your happiness, we have to adjust it. If there are ills in the world, we have to do what we can to try to alleviate suffering through kindness, through reform, through whatever. We can't just change the lenses in our glasses and just say, I see the world differently now. I think everything's fine. That again is kind of the line between foolishness and sageliness. So we have to put everything in perspective. And yes, maybe abstractly in theory, we have to have more of this this connectedness, this experience of the world where we're not feeling this kind of anxiety, where we can somehow release that in this Fool energy kind of way. But at the same time, also be wise enough to know that we still must participate in the world in a way that is intending to improve it, to alleviate the suffering of others, right? And that's a big part of Buddhism too, and I usually don't consider myself a Buddhist. I love the Buddhist philosophy, though. I'm a student of all religions, all practices, all philosophies. But even in Buddhism, it's loving kindness, about acts of charity, about being of service, right? Because if the Fool is the world, well, by taking care of the world, we're taking care of ourselves. By increasing the tranquility and harmony and resonance externally, we are, in fact, experiencing the same thing because we are that, right? There's no difference. So there's a lot going on here, and I just feel like with all of this, especially just with these two and then with this other air energy on there, we need to be careful what actions we take right now, because we've got a little bit more thinking to do, right? We've got a little bit more to consider before we start making any major moves. Maybe we haven't quite done this hermit thing yet. Maybe we haven't kind of withdrawn from society yet. Maybe before you take that next step, you think about some of these energies and see if that's the right move for you. Yeah. Before we do anything else. Let's look at the mystery card now. I know this reading has been going a little bit long. What is this mystery card going? Well, we have a lot of air energy already. Maybe we need some more fire. Maybe we need a 6 of Wands, showing that there is a stability and a harmony and a resonance now in our kind of energetic body, right? In this kind of vital energy. Rather than this 8, this kind of pent up frustration, this anxiety that we feel, maybe we need some harmony and resonance, maybe a 6 of Wands. I'm going to laugh if it's just another Fool card. Okay, 6 of Wands I think is going to be the most. And then we'll have 3 6s rather than this 8, which seems really just a burden, really. It seems overwhelming right there. Oh, God. It is the Fool card. I couldn't make this stuff up. So we have 2 Fools. We have a Fool and we have the Sage, right? So I think this is really the crux of it. This is kind of what it comes down to, is the way that we're relating to the environment. Are we being foolish? Now again, with that hermit energy, if we haven't quite done that yet, if we haven't made that decision to pull away from this, maybe it's pulling away from work, maybe it's kind of leaving, a relationship or your family situation, or just kind of getting out of the school or whatever it is. If we're thinking about withdrawing from that situation, let's wait. Because maybe this Fool is saying, hey, you're about to do something foolish, right? Let's assess all of the energy. Let's calm ourselves down. Let's get rid of a little bit of this anxiety first. Then maybe we'll have a sagely perspective. Maybe we'll make a wise decision rather than a foolish decision. Yeah. Very interesting. I want to thank you for being here and thank you for letting me read for you. We're going to do an extended. Just click on the link that's in the corner there. Really, I truly mean it. Thank you so much for allowing me the honor to read for you today and every day. And thank you for being the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot.